Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Alice Chance and I'm Head of Student Operations at Command Shift. I've got a really exciting lunch and learn session today, so I am going to be chatting with Paul, Paddy and hopefully Sophia from ThinkMoney. We have had a little microphone issue, so she may be able to get involved or not, but she will be here to answer questions. So we're going to be going through a presentation and then there'll be time for a Q&A at the end. We've made successful hires with ThinkMoney in the past. They're a really great Manchester tech-based company. Please ask lots of questions, really get involved, find out what they're looking for in their candidates. And yeah, get from it what you can. I will hand over now to Paul.
Hello. Right, hopefully. Presentation working all right, Alice?
Perfect, yeah.
Cool, thank you. So, hello. Quick intros from who we are. So, I'm Paul Clarkin. I am Head of Engineering here at ThinkMoney. I'm responsible for our development and our QA team. Been with ThinkMoney for nearly 4 years, and it's been quite an eventful journey over those years, and having a great time. Invited along today, Paddy.
Hello, I'm one of the developers here. I've been here for just a little bit longer than Paul, 5 years, and I did a boot camp similar to Command Shift, but it was North Coders.
And Sophia is also with us. Sophia's microphone seems to be failing her, so I will do Sophia's intro for her. So Sophia has been with us for a couple of years, initially joined us as a foundation developer, again from a different boot camp, but has moved over into our QA, into our quality assurance function. And if she was on the call, she would tell you that she is from Ukraine, because she likes to tell us all the time. I can't see her on this camera to know how much she's shouting at me, so we'll just move swiftly on. Who are we? So we're ThinkMoney. We are a Manchester-based company. Our office is just down the road from the Manchester United ground, sort of next door to the Kellogg's factory, near the Trafford Centre. So Northwest based, proud of it. Our main team is all from Manchester, really. So we've been around for quite a while, about 20 years or so. Moved initially as a phone-based banking service, moved onto the internet, moved onto browsers, and then onto mobile phones as well. So been around through some changes. And what sets us apart from other offerings is our budgeting proposition, or as it's called on there, the smart budgeting function. So what that is it allows customers peace of mind that we will be able to pay their bills and pay their outgoings on time, every time. What we do is as your income comes in, our system automatically identifies the money required for your outgoings and holds that to one side in a special pot that you can't access to spend that money. And where this is really helpful is for people, particularly on maybe weekly pay, maybe less guaranteed money every month on the same day. It really helps them budget for the weeks and months ahead. So if you get paid, £200 a week, and your outgoing is, £600 a month, well, how are you going to budget for that each week? Do you just save all of that money up for 3 weeks, or can you actually have a little bit of money each week for you to spend? Some people are great at doing that themselves, and therefore you might not find as much benefit from this, but actually what we find from our customers is there's quite a large amount of people out there that this really benefits. You don't want to have to think about that, proactively manage your money all the time. So this really benefits them and a lot of people. And that's people from sort of low income, poor credit ratings, all the way through to high income and good credit ratings actually benefit from this. So it's not just for one sort of demographic. And what we sort of find is that if you use our system accurately and correctly throughout the month, you can bring yourself to a good place, particularly if you're not in a good place with money today. You can help lift yourself to a better place, and people find things like they get better credit rating, and with that you can get better access to better products, better interest rates, and so on, which can help you in the long run. So what are we up to? Well, we are doing a major platform rebuild at the moment. As I said, we've been around for about 20 years, so some of our technology is a little bit dated. We're on our currently on our second platform iteration over those years, and that platform's coming to end of life, and we are replacing it with lots of new technology. Collection of logos are on the screen in front of you, but we are building a new mobile app built in React Native and obviously using JavaScript. We're building lots of new APIs, and those APIs are written in Golang. And those Golang APIs we are then hosting in Amazon using the serverless framework, so Amazon's Lambda functions. And we're using various other tools and technologies on there. Paddy wanted to add that we all get to play with Macs. So I included an up-to-date picture of a Mac in the corner there. I rest assured, our Macs are slightly more up-to-date than that one.
Just a little bit to fit in your backpack.
Yeah. But no, we're very much in the midst of building new stuff at the moment. And what we're looking for is some people to join us. So we've got lots to do over the next 6 to 12 months. Big projects ahead, and we want people to be part of that. So we're looking for 2 foundation software developers and 1 foundation quality assurance analyst, QA analyst, to join our team. And you'll be joining our current team, which I've listed out there, and you'll be joining the actual team that's working on this project. So you're not going to be joining to do bug fixes or work on our legacy systems. You'll be working on the new technology that's coming through, but not just on the project we're on now. We're looking to the year ahead, so 2024, and keep expanding the platform and maintaining it as well. So this slide sort of covers off a few things about ThinkMoney. Picture up on the top right of the park where we are. So we're at Think Park, as I said before, in Trafford Park. Lovely campus with a couple of office buildings. We've got some resident geese that live in that little fountain as well, which you have to dodge the geese poo, but got some geese. We've got a gym on site. We've got a cafe on site, which is the gym's free to use. We've got some personal trainers in there as well, free to use. So that's always a great benefit that we all make the most of. List out on the side some of our benefits. So talking around our number of days holidays, and some of the benefits we get as well. It's probably worth talking about the way we work at the moment. So we're very much embracing hybrid working. There's an expectation of 2 to 3 days a week in our office during onboarding, and that's really just so that people who are coming on get to work with the team, get to pair up with people like Paddy, like Sophia, actually pair up with them and sit and talk to them face to face. If you're not on the office, that's fine. We use things like Microsoft Teams to keep in communication, but I think we're all well aware that being with each other really enhances that learning journey, and particularly the onboarding journey. So we'd sort of really be keen to speak to people who are local to us. We don't want you to be spending large amounts of time traveling. So if you were based in Glasgow or Devon, for example, might not be quite the ideal position for you. And that's a little bit of a quick tour through. I'm trying to now end my slide.
Perfect.
I'm going to open up to any questions.
Great. I have some questions for you just off the bat, because some people aren't able to join us live. So I've had some questions sent in to me. Would you consider applications from people living in Leeds if it was 2 to 3 days a week? Would you sort of accept travel from Leeds?
I'm not going to turn anybody away from applying. However, I would ask those people to really consider, what that transport and travel would be like. Unfortunately, trains aren't the most reliable things at the moment.
Yeah.
And even then, the journey on the motorway is not the most pleasant journey.
No,
So, while I wouldn't say it's a hard no, it would be down to that candidate to really understand the impact of that. So, we want people to be coming and working and being raring to go rather than coming in and being a little bit fed up with the day already. So it would definitely be something that I would suggest they consider strongly. But yeah, as it's a couple of days a week, particularly for this role as a junior and that onboarding process, we see a lot of value in people being together. Not everyone from our team will be on site 2 to 3 days a week anyway, so there will be a bit of fluidity to that. And we've got some people who are further afield and they travel. But yes, it's definitely something that we need to consider.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I always say to everyone, and I think we had this discussion already about the importance of being in an office when you are first starting out and in your first job and being around other people. It's the easiest way to learn, I always think. So yeah, cool. And what is the actual interview process for the role?
So we will do a CV review. And then following that, we may choose to have a quick phone call with candidates, or we will move straight to an interview. So that interview would be booked for about 2 hours, just to give us plenty of time, so we're not rushing anything. But as part of that, it's quite an informal kind of process in a way. We spend a bit of time just getting to know the candidate. So I always sort of say it's a CV review, but really I just want to kind of know about the history. I'm always really interested to learn about the background of people who've done career changes and when people have come through the boot camp route. We work with people who we've got an ex-football coach in the room now. Sophia used to be in the sort of entertainment and hospitality industry, sort of catering marquees and stuff like that from memory, Sophia. We've got one guy who used to deliver fridges on the back of a lorry. So we've got everything, and I'm always really interested because as silly as it always sounds, I'm always really interested to know what things we'll bring to the team, because we're really looking for. I'm not looking for like more people that look like me and have had my experience. I want the people that have had all those other experiences. I've never delivered a fridge off the back of a lorry.
Yeah,
so
we don't want more people like
he promises me they were genuine, that they weren't knockoff. When he says back of the lorry, I think he just means he was.
It does sound a bit dodgy.
But yeah,
have you met him?
It's great. It's great to learn about those experiences. So we'll do that, and then there's a technical test as well. So we've got a small JavaScript exercise, which is just JavaScript, so no React or anything like that. And it's just very much a kata experience, which anyone who's kind of gone through this course should be very familiar with. And it's for us to just do two things. Firstly, just to check your level of coding to make sure you kind of are suitable. And unfortunately, fortunately, we have lots of applicants for these roles usually. So unfortunately, we have to choose between people. And this is obviously then a way for us to be able to get a bit of an indication of where people are at. But also, it's just to see how you'd fit in as a team member. Are you a good communicator, or a good team player, and those kind of things. And then that's usually the end of the process. If we need to go back for a second interview or anything, we would then discuss that at the time. But we try and keep it as quick and lightweight as possible.
Cool, perfect. And George has actually asked a question. So, are there any significant milestones you'd be expecting junior developers to be hitting in the first few months? I'll give you that one to go with.
Significant milestones. So, yes, you would be working closely with your manager to go through kind of an onboarding and learning process. Now, but at the same time, we're very aware that as a junior, as a foundation, you don't have lots of experience in the industry. We're not going to be expecting you to be, running at 100 miles an hour straight away. we would go through a process, and I'm going to sort of link it into the next question, that there was an academy process a couple of years ago when we brought in quite a large cohort of juniors. We went through an academy. We sort of set the new starters up in pretty much sort of sat around a couple of banks of desks together and going through a learning plan. And we're in a bit of a different place with this one. So rather than going through a big learning plan with lots of people, we're going to just have a couple of people coming in. So two developers, and it'll be a lot more on the job. So we'll do a lot more pairing with more experienced developers, people such as Paddy, and just get straight involved in the project. And then, but as part of going back to the first question, you'll be when you come to things that you need to learn. So let's say you've never done React Native, but you have done React. Well, you'll then spend a bit of time learning about React Native. So lots of online training, lots of training between the individuals on the team. And we'll set certain goals during your one-to-ones that you'll have. So the goal may be, I'm thinking off the top of my head, but the goal might be, okay, first 2 months to be comfortable as a React Native developer. So in 2 months, we'll sort of be reviewing that. Then we try and work on kind of quarterly goals, maybe, rather than some places will say, oh, here's your 12-month objective, right? Go away and forget about it. We're trying to just push you along all the time. So the next goal might be, okay, well, now you've learned about React Native, I want you to have made some contributions to it, release some changes to production, and those little steps to kind of get you comfortable and onwards. There will be more of a plan and a training plan in place as you come in and work with your manager. We have career ladders and career progression plans that we then can start aiming towards. As people start looking to years 2, 3 ahead of them, of, well, how do I become a mid-level developer? How do I become a senior developer? We can then start working and putting individual goals to that.
Cool, perfect, thank you. And somebody asked this question is like, what do you look for in a CV? What would be like really stand out on a CV for you?
It's difficult with CVs because they do all start blending into
They do, don't they? Yeah.
And especially at this level. So we don't take too much out of it. But what does stand out is when people start having additional content, let's say. So for example, if you've got GitHub projects, you've got a presence on social media like LinkedIn or something like that. Maybe you write a blog, maybe you do videos, you might be streaming on Twitch, you might be on YouTube, those kind of things are standout things because not everyone is doing that. So those are the kind of things that will make stand out. But also at the same time, don't do something you're uncomfortable with. So if you're not comfortable doing streaming on Twitch of live coding, don't force yourself and then, make a mess of it, because that will almost look worse. So, we're not going to mark people down who don't do that. To stand out, sort of, I suppose it sounds a bit cliche, but try and be yourself and be individual in whatever way that you want to stand out.
Yeah, I think you're big personality people, aren't you, as a team? And I think just from sort of speaking with both of you two, and Sophia, I'm sure I'd be saying the same about you if you could talk. But you seem like you're quite a small, close-knit team, so you need to make sure you're making the right hiring fit. So I guess a bit of personality in there as well, your CV or LinkedIn's or things like that. But yeah, that was good advice. I don't know if anyone else has any questions, if anyone else wants to add anything else in. I can see somebody's typing. I know you're going to be making 2 hires, so you've got the 2 developer and then 1 QA hire have you got like an end date for those applications, or what's the sort of hiring plan? Have you got a plan?
What have you communicated already, Alice? Because I think we talked around it being around now.
August.
Oh, right, yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
we're kind of doing maybe two cohorts. We've got some applications at the moment open, and then we are looking towards autumn time for potentially bringing in more people. We've only had this open for a week or two. We've already had absolutely loads of CVs come through. We will be looking through them, but then this presentation talks to a couple of months' time as well, where anyone who's on the course at the moment may be looking to apply. So we're always looking for good people. and it's one of these that even if we close this and you haven't had a chance to apply or so on, always keep us in mind, and we'll to go back to the earlier question of what makes things stand out on CVs. I've had some CVs from people applying for our mid-level positions recently, and they've had one had Manchester Codes, as you formerly were, on their CV, and it did make the jump out, because I kind of thought, I know I've worked with you before, I know the quality of it. So it's always nice to have those people come back later on, to keep in touch with us if there's things in the future.
Yeah, definitely. So Santi has just asked, what sort of GitHub projects do you recommend? So I imagine that would be sort of like the projects that they do on the course with us, and just having a bit of a write through and attachment to their repos and stuff.
Yeah, obviously on the course you do certain things. What's always nice, again, to ask about the standout bit, is then what have you done on top of that? So I can't remember your course kata stuff off the top of my head. I don't know if you can remind me, but if you did a simple Instagram type app, for example, that's great to do it on the course. But what could you do to then take that a little bit further? So maybe you then take everything you've learned, but then maybe make your own version of that, or do something that's not just done on the course. So those would be interesting, and something that we can then talk about and discuss in the interview. Also, there's lots of projects out in the world, out in the community. So many open source projects out there have a easy first starter guide. So you could pick up something that looks really complicated, but they might have some small little issues that need fixing, need bug fixing. You're getting involved with a wider community, learning about a bigger project. It's always helpful and useful to have a look at those things as well.
Cool, perfect. I know we sort of touched on the software. Oh, sorry. No,
Just asking if there was anything from Paddy to add. Or
no, I think so. I think just wider tooling that you'd be using in a day-to-day. So don't just focus on outside projects, but what are those soft skills and things like that potentially you'd not maybe doing on the course, but could help here. So ways of working, Git control, all those little things that obviously we don't expect you to be masters of, but being able to touch on them and having a starter would also be useful.
Amazing, cool, thank you. And I know obviously we sort of touched on the software developer role, which I think is something that most people that do the boot camp, that's their expectation is, and it's the introduction for most people into jobs in tech is a software developer. Would you mind just giving, I guess, a brief overview of what is expected of a QA analyst?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're absolutely right. I mean, people coming into tech, everyone thinks about developers. Developers that build the apps, and they're the ones that get a lot of the limelight, let's say. But actually, there's a lot of supporting roles in IT that people who come through boot camps will have a lot of the skills that we'd be looking for those other roles. So in this case, we're talking about a QA, but there's also roles like business analyst, project manager, infrastructure support. There's lots and lots of opportunities around. And in the particular for QA, the best way of sort of thinking about QA is it's your job to assure that quality is in the system. So hence the name quality assurance analyst. So it's not your job to make the product good. That's the developer's job, and the all the supporting people like the business analysts and so on. But everyone makes mistakes. Everyone's human, and what we're looking for is somebody to just be looking out for that quality through that process. What does that involve? Well, you're involved throughout the whole building process, really. So before development starts, the QAs tend to work very closely with our product owners and our business analysts. So they're the people who basically say, this is what the product should look like. This is how it should work. The business analyst will turn a lot of those ideas into requirements and actually say, right, well, when this happens, then this should happen, write a lot of that down. The QA is going to be involved in that throughout, sort of always thinking about well, what happens if something goes wrong? How do we need to make sure? How do we make sure it's reliable, it's performant, and and also the customer just gets the best experience from it. So I think Sophia used the phrase always being the voice of the customer. So actually looking out for the customer and thinking, well, how would a customer use this? How would a customer maybe get confused by this, and that kind of thing. So QA will support the developers through the building process. So while they're building, the QAs might be popping their head over their shoulder, either virtually or in the office, to sort of say, oh, how's it going? Have you thought about this? And quite often, developers will be like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. Oh yeah, what if I do this? So once it gets through development and it's kind of had that constant conversation all the way through, the QA tends to do some formal testing on there. So usually running through a test script. So they'll have pre-prepared some steps to say, right, I'm going to execute this, and then this should happen. And most of the time it does, and it's all good. But on that journey, there may be some bugs, there might be some faults, some cosmetic things, something bigger. So all the way through that, the QA is responsible for making sure that the product that is built and released is to highest quality. I see Sophia is typing, so I'm sure there's going to be
maybe adding something to it.
But it's a very important part of the role, but it's not kind of a single point. The quality is across the whole team. So we focus on doing things like automated testing. So developers are responsible for doing those automated tests, but the QAs will validate them. They're just there as a different mind to work with. So sometimes you find QAs have got a different mindset. They like to take things apart rather than put things together. And that's great, because that's what we need. And as I said earlier, I don't want a team that all looks the same, because then we all end up just arguing over the same thing. We need different people into the team.
Different mindsets.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Sophia, I hope you don't mind me doing this, but I've noticed that you're on LinkedIn, so I'm sure you wouldn't mind if anyone's interested in the role, specifically the QA one, and you want to know a little bit more, because I'm sure most of the students are sort of thinking they were going to be in a software developer role, but there is, like we said, a whole other world of sort of tech options available, and QA is a great one, and this course really will give you what you need, I guess, to sort of be successful within that role. I'm sure you could reach out to Sophia on LinkedIn. Hopefully you won't be bombarded with messages, but I'll pop your LinkedIn into our Slack channel. But yeah, I don't know if anyone else has any other messages. I can see George is typing. Sophia, Paul,
on that QA point, I suppose, is that the QAs do get involved in the code as well, writing testing. So if you put off by anything that we said there about QA, because it's maybe more manual stuff, it's not, as Paul said, that automated testing, when you're ready to or you want to, then you're able to get involved and write some of the automated grey box testing that we use or do we use Detox to run through the app and do end-to-end tests, etc. So yeah, hands-on code as well.
Thanks, buddy. And Sophia said we also ensure quality is at the forefront of everyone's mind, and that quality is a team effort. But yeah, I don't know if anyone else has anything else to add. Tony, I can see that you're typing. Obviously, if anyone has any questions, you can always pop them over to me and I can get in touch. Obviously, that ThinkMoney are hiring at the moment, and then they will be hopefully hiring again sort of at the autumn time. I have all the job descriptions for the role. So if anyone has any questions, just feel free to reach out. But I think I will leave it there. I think we'll finish off then.
Great. Thank you very much.
Oh, no, thank you for joining me today. It was great to hear about everything. And I'm very excited. I'm very excited for everyone. Sounds like you're working on a really interesting project as well, which is really good.
Yeah, it is. It's very exciting, very interesting, and quite challenging as well. So yeah, definitely going to be busy over the next few months.
Oh, nice. That's always good to hear. Okay, cool. Well, I'll chat with everyone soon. Have a nice afternoon. See you later. Thank you. Bye.